Hey, what's up, everybody? Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. You guys are on here. Let me see if you guys are. I'm singing you guys right. Okay. Hello? Okay. You guys, welcome to this is formerly what's the Carlotta Chatwood Show. I'm working on my new podcast, but I'm still coming on doing lives and stuff. So you guys, so yeah, so this is my first time doing a live in a while on my page. I just did a live from you guys with the coming from Chris Brown. Now I'm at home, so I'm going to do this live show for my podcast really fast. My former podcast is still going on, but you know what? Yeah, y'all know what I mean. Okay, so if you guys don't hear, sometimes you're going to hear from me sporadically if you're listening to this podcast now, because I'm changing some things over with it. Okay, but Chris Brown tonight. Okay, so I went to see Breezy Bo. I feel a little freer on my podcast to say the things that I need to say. Okay. Oh man, what can I say? I started off with Bryson Tiller. Was that his name? Am I saying his name right? Okay, I thought he was okay. Uh, I feel today it is important for development, A&R development for performers. Oh my God, it's just so important. But I digress. Next up, Summer Walker. I spoke about Summer Walker on my live. I think Summer Walker is a great songwriter. I think she's a good singer. Performer, I don't. Like I said, Summer Walker's grown from since I saw her at Essence Fest. But I felt she was so detached. She had a lot of bells and whistles for Chris Brown, but very detached. Dancers was out there and everything, you know. And like I said, I thought that it would help singers like her to watch people like Jasmine Sullivan, um, Mary J, because there's a connection to the audience that is so great that doesn't require, like, Mary J can set a show off with her crazy dancing, but Mary is relatable. There's something about Mary that's so relatable. And my suspicion is that has how they've sold Summer Walker over the years, being a mom, a single mom, and all the things that they've told about her private life and everything. Summer Walker, we need to see more of that on stage. Who you are when you go through, like when you're going through the crap, when you're going through the bullshit, we need to see that. We need to hear that. Like Mary J come out and tell you she having a bad night. We need to see a connection from Summer. And I felt like there was no connection. I felt it was a lot of detachment from Summer Walker. Okay. But y'all like the song, There's a Heart of a Woman. I felt like this crowd, listen, one thing I have learned about Z's, please don't take offense to this. Please don't. Okay. You just happen to come up into a generation where performers don't need to, they can be detached. Generation X may have been that last generation for now that you had to be still a great performer, because Generation X had their parents mandating the music. Remember, you know when you were growing up, if you have a family picnic, barbecue and stuff like that, your mama then was controlling their music. They put the little kid music on and stuff like that. For y'all to hear little stuff, you hear some little new edition out of it. But it was your mama and them, you were still listening to what your mama and them listened to. So our generation, the last generation we grew up, there were a variety of female singers out here. Everybody wasn't wearing leotards. There were there were a variety of female. We grew up. Now I feel like we're an old generation. Like we were old when we were in our 30s, in our teens. Because we were listening to people like Anita Baker, Sade. We even listened to instrumental jazz like Kitty G and Najee and people like that. We were doing this as teens and 20-some-year-olds. That's what Generation X. That's the influence of our parents controlling the radio. Now, unfortunately for Z's, and this doesn't mean guys don't have talented people in Z's, But unfortunately for you, you didn't have parents. You didn't have parents helping controlling that narrative. There was to sit in front of the computer, and you had to figure it out on your own. You didn't get to sometimes see your mama and them, when confunction come on and they be, if you want that special love, and your parents be, hey, you didn't even know, you didn't even, you didn't get to see that much. Unless you're even a late millennium didn't get to see that. Early millenniums, yes, meaning the 80s millenniums, okay? Late millenniums, no. From late millenniums to these, so your performers can come out there and do a lot less work. I hate maybe we were the last bastion of great performers. It's not that there aren't great performers out here now. Chris is one of them. But Chris is still detached, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Okay. How do I feel about getting to Chris Brown? I was excited. This is my second time seeing Chris Brown. I haven't seen Chris Brown in years. When he was young boy, when I saw him, it was before the Rihanna mess hit the fan. And by the way, I have had heavy criticism over the years for Chris Brown on my podcast. Anybody who listens to my podcast knows I have. My criticism for Chris Brown was always that Chris Brown deserved to heal and be whole and not just come out. They were really pushing. There was a lot of pressure on Chris to make records so fast. It's a whole nother story. But over the years, I have been very tough on Chris. Okay. I will say this. I still said what I said. For those of you who listen to the show. And I do see the evolution, though. I really do. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. First off, let me just say this. I'm gonna get my notes out here because I was taking notes. Don't laugh at me. I was taking notes during the show, so I can remember what to talk to y'all about. Okay, let me start off with the jerseys. Oh my God, I gotta give me a Breezy jersey. I'm gonna be wearing a Breezy jersey on here. On one, I'm gonna wear a Breezy jersey for y'all. I got me a t-shirt tonight. I'm gonna give me a jersey because this jersey is hot. Okay, I love the whole theme of the Breezy bow, and I want to say this to Jay-Z. It's time for everybody to listen. Chris would be a great Super Bowl performer, just my personal opinion. I mean, if y'all got the Weeknd up there giving a performance, y'all show can go get Chris Brown. Okay, y'all show can give Chris Brown a chance. Okay. Now, the jerseys I loved all the seeing all the girls, the young girl energy. Listen, it was a twerk fest. Can I say it was a twerk fest? Is it fair for me, or am I just old? Because when I go to the old school concerts, they twerk every now. This was a total twerk fest. Twerking was everywhere. There were girls out there, and you know what, girls? I'm not mad at you. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, when I go to a cute little concert, I got the cleavage up, and you know what I'm saying. But this was ass out. This was totally ass out. I'm not kidding. This was ass out. This was a hyper. I feel it was kind of hypersexual show. The girls were dressed, and I mean, listen. You see little young girls around the arena, like they have this part where the thing is going around the arena, and you see this in a lot of people's shows where they're showing the people in the audience, which I love. I loved when Maxwell used to do that. When you show the people in the audience dancing and singing and stuff like that. Does he still do that? I don't know. I've been to so many shows, I can't tell. I don't know. But they were showing all the kids, and listen, the kids were having their phones up. Some of the girls, and you know what they were saying? Their phone said, "Let me suck it. I'll give you some." Oh my God. "Let me take you down." I said, "Oh shit." This was a wild one, okay? Oh my God. So I'm like, listen, I didn't realize how much Chris Brown makes music for the strip club. That's what I feel like. Am I wrong? It feels like a strip club kind of energy. But I like some of Chris Brown's music. I'm like, I like especially the first album, and then I like the Go Crazy song. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I like Go Crazy songs, but there's certain songs I like by Chris Brown. Okay, but the girls, yeah. So everybody was twerking. There was even the old girls. The old girls were there tonight too. The girls my age, the old girls was there. Okay, they was twerking. Okay, they was twerking. This was they let loose night. Okay. uh do I feel, let me see what they definitely try. Okay, I, there's so much for the show. So lots of twerking going on, like I said. Very hyper. I love, the little girls are in love with Chris Brown. And can I say this? I said this during my live, and I'm going to say it again for the podcast. Black women, Black American women. When I say Black American women, I'm talking about traditional Black American women, FBA, ADOS, whatever you want to call yourself, okay? Meaning that you've been on the soil, your family 500 to 600 years. You're traditional Black America. And to some of my Caribbean people, and you too, I throw y'all in this and some of the African, but mainly that crust, that American Black woman. Chris Brown should thank you every fucking show. Every freaking show he has, he should say, thank you, Black women. He should have a Black women shine up there to say thank you, because you saved his career. Despite all the troublesome things, despite all the craziness, it was a Black woman that has created this moment for the Breezy Bowl. Now, yes, it's Black women. It's Black American women that have created this moment for you, Chris Brown. It's just facts. Okay. Black women didn't give up on you. Even when you had restraining orders from more than allegedly one woman. Allegedly. Okay. They didn't give up. Even when you were, people saying you was throwing bricks in cars at your face. All kind of, when you went up on American, what is it? Good Morning Americans, throwing chairs around, and right, what number Robin trying to interview you? Even more recently, because Chris, I think is he still facing charges in the UK? The UK ain't playing with him. I don't know. Is he still facing those charges in the UK? I'm not sure. Okay, he's even facing charges in the UK for some alleged domestic violence. Not domestic violence, alleged assault of a man he got into it allegedly at a club with. Okay, and there was assault charges. I don't know if they're still there or not. And they let him go on this tour because he was in jail in the UK. And this was for something that happened a couple of years ago, okay? I won't even mention the other troublesome things that sometimes people I've heard, okay? But however, Black women, you stayed the course. If you helped this man's career, you saved it, in my opinion. So bravo to you tonight. I'm going to clap for you. For Chris, if Chris doesn't clap for you, I'm going to clap for you. Clap, 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 clap. You did it, okay? He needs to, every show, he needs to just have a picture of Black women up there. Okay, so next off about Chris's show was the digital look. Rivals Beyonce Renaissance show. Listen, I was so freaking impressed by the background, the look, everything. Fire. I cannot say it enough. I cannot say. It's my most impressed part of the night was looking at the background. I love Chris's clothes. I love the choices for him. I love whoever the stylist is. Bravo to the stylist. Okay, they knew, they worked him for his crowd. I love every style, everything he had on. Great. Okay. My favorite part of the show had to be the fly out when Chris flies off. And let me tell you, let's talk about the stage first. When you go to the Breezy Bowl, and And the Breezy Bowl is made up of Chris has basically almost, I want to say it's two stages, one far off stage, one main stage, and then he has these X's in the middle of the floor, which are stages in themselves. Oh my God. Oh, it was stunning. I was so like impressed by that alone. I was like, yo, look at Chris, you done come up. Somebody's investing coins in Chris Brown. Okay. Yes, they are. um, I mean, just just visually. And he's also, let me by the way, sidebar. This is a sidebar. He's performing tomorrow night at at uh Globe Field, which is the where Texas Rangers play in Texas. Okay, and it has, I don't know how many people that host, maybe 40,000 or something like that. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you guys something. This is my personal opinion and this is a sidebar. This, excuse me, you guys, I have a cold too, so excuse you if you hear and all that. Okay. Um, the sidebar is this. I have heard this about a lot of artists, including Beyonce. Uh, we've talked about this with Renaissance, and Beehive always gets so upset with me. They get so sad and mad. And I'm like, okay, don't be, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Here's the thing. Chris is doing 2 nights at that field, and it looks like it looks like it was sold out. And I was like, wow, like he's selling out. Listen, in certain cities, I can believe he can do that. He could sell out Globe Field. I can believe certain venues like that. But what I found out, here's the trick. And this is with a lot of the entertainers. It's not just Chris Brown. This is Chris Brown's coming out party. Somebody's trying to make Chris come out. They're trying to cross Chris over. And this is not for you Black women. They're trying to cross Chris over to the white women. Okay. They're trying to get them to come out. That's where the money is. They're trying to get them back in the shows. And I saw them there tonight. Wherever you are, they follow because you tell everybody what's hip in society. That's who you are. No offense to my beautiful, my white listeners, but I say this kind of stuff all the time. Black women set the tone and the trends. You know what I'm saying? So you tell them what's hip. This is what to listen to. And you are making them feel safe enough now to come listen to Chris Brown again. And they were there. Okay. So this is what the Breezy Bowl is to me. The Breezy Bowl is to attract the non-Chris Brown fan. Like me, just going to be curious. And celebrate Chris's triumphs over the years and disappointments and all that. Here's the secret. The shows are not really sold out. You know what I noticed? And I've said this before about Renaissance. I've said this before about other shows, concerts, and I've heard this. It's so hard to get true numbers on concerts these days. Why? Because you have the scalpers, the verified sellers who buy up these tickets in droves. They buy up these tickets and they make it to look as if these tickets are selling out. And you go online and suddenly they're there for $700. There's a ticket where it was originally a $200 ticket. Suddenly, there's a $1,000 ticket that's $2,000. Okay, or and it looks like these guys are selling out, but the truth is, a lot of a lot of resellers, a lot of scalpers. It happened with Beyonce. It happened with both her shows. It looked like she sold 600 million, but how much? The true story is, how much did the scalpers lose? There's no way to test that. There's no way to test. You're looking like you have a sold out show, but you really don't. You just have a bunch of scalpers trying to buy them and resell the tickets. At least 20 to 30% of your shows, somewhat in my personal opinion, of these shows sometimes look sold out and they're not because scalpers have bought them. And then what I've heard on the low, I don't say, I'm going to say allegedly, that they give them away through promotion, marketing, all kinds of things when they can't, because there are some people who believe that scalpers and stuff now work with some, like, have some sort of cross connection to these artists. That's what I've heard allegedly. Okay. I don't know how true that is, but I've a lot of people have talked about this. Okay, so a lot you're it's very hard to get true numbers on concert sales. Let me just say this: that Chris has come up though. Chris is a pop artist. Nobody's denying that Chris is a pop artist. Are you? Are you guys really gonna say Chris does some R&B, but he's mostly a pop artist? A lot of that songs are pop. Okay. Um, so he should be crossed over to that venue now. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure we can see true numbers because of the scalpers. So that's my sidebar on that. Okay. And this happens with your favorite artists. I don't even want to tell y'all, like, what they had to do to get the Renaissance. Do you know they had to? You guys do know. This is just my personal opinion that they had to hype up the Renaissance. This is the thing that got Renaissance. Dress up, Halloween. I was like, yay! It's Halloween. I can dress up. Plus, I was going through. Beyonce came at such a wonderful time, that Renaissance, for the first one, the Renaissance tour, because I was literally going through. I was literally going through my. I had just had that Thursday before the concert. I went to Kansas City for Beyonce's last show. And here's the funny thing: I'm not. People think I'm a secret. The people who listen to my podcast all the time, the beehivers. I have a lot of beehivers who love to hate me because they don't think, they say, you hate Beyonce, but they always tell me, you're really a beehiver, you're really a secret. I said, I'm not a beehiver, but I do support her probably more than you do. Did you guys buy some Ivy Park? No. Did you guys buy that hair? That hair stuff? Probably not. Did you go? You guys, because Beyonce fans always claim, Beyonce fans, the Beehive is such an elusive group. You know what I'm saying? They're so elusive. Sometimes they exist, sometimes they don't. They don't exist when she needs you to buy, like Rihanna needs you to buy Fenty. The Navy shows up for Fenty and beyond. The Beehivers do not show up for Ivy Park. The Beehivers do not show up for. They're like, is that hair stuff still on the shelf? Have they showed up? They don't show up for Sir Davis. I showed up for Sir Davis. I bought somebody a gift for Sir Davis. I'm not even a big Beyonce fan. I'll be out there supporting Beyonce. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The Renaissance tour came at a wonderful time for me because that Thursday I had a biopsy. And so I was kind of like on edge. And I went Friday night. I went to go see my fave. Y'all know who my fave is, Maxwell. And I met these two nurses, and I remember it was a wonderful. They was trying to encourage me. So I was nervous as hell, but I already knew. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I already kind of knew I was gonna have breast cancer. Okay, and but that weekend was so wonderful because I went to Beyonce's show on Saturday night, and let me tell you, that heifer and that Renaissance show, it wasn't really her. It was them dancers and that digital platform and the outfits and everything. I just had a ball. It really helped me. And I was dressed up too. I had my little silver boots on. I had my little silver outfit. It was all that. So these are the things that help spark Beyonce, because at first Beyonce wasn't doing well in sales. They had to spark her ass up. People, then celebrities start going out to the shows, which is that's another thing in itself. Okay. And then they got y'all to start moving on buying them tickets. Same thing with the country show. But I'm going to digress on that because I don't really want to make the Beehive cry today. I don't want to check into the Ramada Inn. I'm kind of feeling good right now. I don't want to check in. For those who listen to my show, you know what that means when I say I don't want to check into the Ramada Inn because, the Beehive loves to say that you check into the Ramada Inn. What Beyonce says, her haters can check into the Ramada Inn. So I'm often checking into the Ramada Inn in my mind. Because people think I'm hating. I'm not hating, So just telling y'all some truth out here. But anyway, coming back to Chris Brown. Okay, I suspect same things are happening for Chris Brown. Some celebrities are showing up at Chris Brown, but not anyone major. Like Gail and Oprah haven't blessed him yet. When Gail and Oprah bless him, then he'll start selling out to older white women to start showing up. It'll start being a fest, right? You know what I'm saying? But he hasn't got that yet. Chris has went up significantly. Is he a Taylor Swift? Nobody's a Taylor Swift. Oh, Taylor Swift's fucking sales are for real. And let me tell you why. Taylor Swift is dealing with a group of people in America that have money. Lots of it. Okay? The average white household compared to black households savings, you should see very different. Okay? And it's because, of especially if you're from a black American background, there's a lot to those numbers for us and why they're that way. But that also affects our entertainers. Okay. So Taylor Swift, I'm a huge Tay-Tay fan. Y'all don't know it now. Did y'all find out I'm a huge Tay-Tay fan? Y'all remember when I used to hate Tay-Tay? I love Tay-Tay now. Not because of the Chiefs. Let me tell you what happened. Okay. And then I'm going to get back to the Chris Brown show. Okay. Tay-Tay, I sat down. I said, I'm going to watch the Arrow show. I'm going to watch Arrows. I'm going to watch all 3 hours of it. My granny, who's not a Taylor Swift, you ain't going to sit down and watch no Taylor Swift for no 3 hours, girl. I said, yes, I am. Girl, I can hear all that. That's my granny. I said, I'm about to watch this Taylor Swift show. Okay. So I sit one night, 3 hours of Arrows. When I turned off the television set, I'm like singing all the songs. I'm like, I'm happy. I became a Taylor Swift fan. Arrows got me. I was like, this heifer can write. She can play guitar. Her voice is okay, but she's so musically inclined in other ways. Gosh, she got me. And I've been got ever since, man. I have Taylor Swift. I be listening to Taylor Swift like it's normal, like it's a normal thing to do. One of my friends said, are you playing Taylor Swift? What? What is that you listening to? Yes, I'm listening to Wildest Dream. I don't want to hear. I'm listening to 1989. I don't want to hear no criticism. I am a Taylor Swift fan. And I understand the Taylor Swift fan base. Taylor Swift you know what Taylor Swift is? Oh, God. My white listeners, please don't get offended, but I'm going to tell you what she is. I've said it before. She's the Jennifer Aniston of music. What is the Jennifer Aniston of music? You say, what is the Jennifer Aniston of music? She is the relatable white girl. She is a white girl that you can see yourself being. She's not so above the grade. Who's the new little girl on the singing? Sabrina Carpenter. Sabrina Carpenter's up there. She's a real pretty little black. She's gorgeous. She is not average. A lot of people like her, but you can't relate to her because Sabrina is something different. Taylor Swift is that average white girl from next door. And a lot of white women can relate. That's what I said about Jennifer Aniston. That was the love with Jennifer Aniston. The love of Jennifer Aniston was that she was relatable. You could be her if you really wanted to. You get your little haircut and everything, you could be her. She's not so glamorous and so beautiful that she's like an Angelina Jolie, like she's out of touch. So that is to me, the thing that makes the vibe about Taylor. But not only that, Taylor's a great songwriter. Taylor's a great artist. She can write her butt off, okay? And she sings pop anthem songs that when you watch her shows, everybody's singing in the audience. Why do I tell you all of this? What does this have to do to Chris Brown? Because Chris Brown does the same thing. But they're stripper anthem songs, okay? So let's get back to Chris. The fly out was my favorite part of the night. I loved a flying around the arena. The dancers, chef's kiss to the females up there. Oh my God. I always want, I promise myself one day, now my friends know how fascinated I am, you know, by pole dancing. I am fascinated. I've had two birthday parties and a bachelorette party with pole dancing. I'm a pole dancer. I like pole dancing. I want to pole. My dream is to do one day to do one of those. One of those. What's the Janelle Hill? What's the Aaliyah Janelle? What's her name? I forget her name. The dancer, like Joey Chavis and stuff. Oh my God, I'm such a huge fan of those girls dancing. I want to do a sexy dance. It's my dream. And my friends are going, oh my God, she's still saying she's going to do a sexy dance. God help us all. But I do. I would love to do that with it. And these girls tonight made me feel like I should. They made it look so flawless. Oh, they were so awesome. All of Chris Brown's dancers were awesome. The guys were awesome. Every last one of it. And that's why he reminds me, he's not Michael Jackson. He's MC Hammer. It's not Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson didn't do all that. Michael Jackson has some dancers out on stage. Chris Brown has like about 30, 40 people out on stage. Maybe 20. Okay. Chris Brown is doing MC Hammer. And a lot of those dancers are very Hammer-like. And he's mixing it with a lot of rap, a lot of features. So yeah, I love the dancers. Okay, I love like I said, the graphics, the digital, all that great. I talked to y'all about the Michael Jackson comparison. We're going to stop that today. What I'm saying to y'all about Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson was more than dancing and singing. Michael Jackson, first of all, there's a lot going on with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson comes in the age when the world is a much larger place, before the internet. I don't think people understand what Michael Jackson did. This was before the age of the internet. The world was a lot larger. You couldn't go on your computer and look and see what they're doing in China today. Or or the Caribbean, or Jamaica, or it's you couldn't see concerts with your phone. Michael comes from a different space, a different time. Michael was so different that Michael was hanging up in Studio 54 with Andy Warhol. What's the dude from Queen? I forget his name. What? Stephanie Mills. He was Fred Astaire hanging around, Diana Ross. I mean, it's another time. He was anointed by the greats. This guy sold over 150 million. This is just one record. And that's Thriller. Michael was able to meet a Quincy Jones, a once in a lifetime producer. You will never see the likes of Quincy Jones. Oh my God. The greatness of Quincy. Musically, Michael's off the wall. Oh, listen to it. Musically, off the wall. Thriller. Oh my God. Quincy did not fucking slack. Michael Jackson was something special. And like I said, Michael Jackson he was tapped into his uniqueness, his authenticity, even though it was strange or weird or whatever, okay? But that's what made Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson. Chris Brown is not in that category. I'm sorry. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm getting ready to make some Chris Brown fans kind of upset. Chris Brown is not in the Usher category to me. And I like Chris Brown. I liked Chris Brown's performance tonight. But no, I'll tell you why. Usher gives. I feel like Chris is a more of a freestyler. Um, a lot of the beautiful things that I saw about Chris is when there were moments when he was alone and he was just doing a little dance on his own, or he was just, and you could see there was the magic there. Chris is he's very freestyle. That show Chris can do in his sleep. Here is what I'm gonna really say, and gosh, please don't get upset with me for saying this. Just what I happen to see. Chris can do much better music. He could do way better performance, in my personal opinion. I mean, this is a good performance. What Chris can do, that's easy. I can tell that Chris can wake up and just walk on stage and do that. Chris, what do I feel? My personal opinion, and I could be so wrong. I could be wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong. Chris is doing. This is easy because y'all accept it. You accept the song sounding the same. You accept the chants and the. I mean, and a lot of girls think he's cute. I think that helps. But you don't. I don't believe like his audience is not. I don't know what happens to his audience in the next 10 years. Okay. I don't think Chris is challenged. I think this is easy for Chris. I think Breezy Bow is easy. I think Breezy Bow and the music Chris is doing is easy. Singing about these hoes ain't loyal. And she like the way I eat it and all that stuff. It's shit. I'm like, it's easy. It's a lot of people out here singing that. Every now and then a little sexy song, I don't mind. But I'm just like, all of them is stripper songs. Chris could be such a great artist. Right now, Chris is an okay artist, in my opinion, and a good performer because Chris just probably doesn't want to. He can get away with doing the bare minimum. To y'all, it don't look like the bare minimum. But for me, I believe that guy can do so much more. I'm like, yo, you need to get with some real live, not beat makers. I need him to get with some producers. I need him to get some producers that understand music. I need him to get and understand how to be hip. And I just feel like if he challenges himself, oh my God, then we'll see Chris Brown's greatness. I think you guys are seeing Chris can get away with it. Chris can get away with doing the bare minimum. And I think that's what he does. I think he gets out on stage. I think it's easy. The dances were fun. It was fun to watch. I feel like that's naturally who Chris. I feel like Chris is naturally a dancer. I feel like Chris loves performing. But I feel like there are people around Chris Brown that says we need a quick pop album. We need a quick pop album. I wonder, does Chris like the songs? Because I feel like he was singing them, but I felt like he was attached at times. So yeah, I like the show, but I kept thinking, this guy's got so much more in him. Right now, I'm seeing the average pop star. I'm seeing the average pop star that can dance better than most of the pop stars out there. But this is no different to me than a Harry Styles or Justin or anything in the crowd and stuff, except for Black women saved his ass. But I feel he's got more in the tank, and I would love to see him be challenged. Because I think Michael Jackson did things if you're gonna, I'm not gonna compare him to Michael Jackson, 'cause I don't think he's Michael Jackson. I think that that if you want to be an artist, artists got most artists. It's not easy to be a Prince, because Prince cared what y'all. I mean, I think Prince musically wanted people to like his music, but Prince was also an artist interested in developing his sound, interested in developing himself musically, and interested in developing his artists. I mean, interested in developing his audience to grow with him and to go beyond uh, uh, certain sounds and stuff from him. I would love to see what happens when Chris does that. What happens? I think I would be so impressed. I just say I think we haven't seen the best of Chris Brown. That's just my personal opinion. I would love to see him have more personal interactions with his dancers. One of the great things about Janet, when you see artists like Janet Jackson in concert, um, Beyonce slightly, Taylor definitely. But what I love about Beyonce of Janet has this. Janet has the dancers. You don't feel like Janet doesn't know her dancers. Like just like the kids, come on out, and everybody get their own little time on stage, their own little, so you meet the dancers, like it feels connected to the show. Each one of the dancers are introduced at some point, and they feel personal to Janet. They feel like her babies. These are, she used to call them the kids, I think. And so she's still, all her dancers, you feel. Now, this era of Janet with all the male dancers, I don't like. I have said this before. I don't like the male era dancers. I love Janet being the velvet rope Janet, the offer love Janet. I mean, offer you Janet. What's it, offer you Janet? Where she has this relationship with her dancers, and they're introduced, and everybody gets to cheer. Everybody, you get to find out who that girl is that's over there doing that, or who's that guy doing that. I love that. And I think Chris Brown needs that. I think Chris Brown needs a moment with his dancers. He needs a moment. More than that one girl. There's a lead dancer I could get in there. It's always a little sexual kiss moment or whatever. No, I'm talking about an interaction where they're having fun, where they're talking to each other, like, yo, let's have a dance off, and you get to see all the dancers, everybody who's on his show performing and stuff like that. I think that's fun. I think that's nice, and I think that the audience becomes more connected to you. And there were a lot of changes in the audience this time. I love Chris Brown's clothes. I said that, but I think Chris had lulls. But yeah, I'd like to see. I think there needs to be some more interaction with with his people. What else? Very hypersexual show. Chris is hypersexual. Seems like very hypersexual. But what I loved about it, one of the things I loved is his background. When he tells his story, he talks about what he went through, and he goes through his history and stuff like that. My hope for Chris Brown is that he is becoming a healthier version of himself, that he is becoming better, because I felt like they didn't give him a chance to heal. They were ready to make money off of him, and I think they're still ready to make money off of him. I think they don't care. I think my personal opinion is they've never cared about Chris Brown, the person, healing and developing. One of my friends years ago goes, how did you know? I always said, I was not, I was the only person years ago that was not surprised about Rihanna. People were like, why weren't you surprised about Rihanna? Because I saw this one show years ago, and I remember I was at work, and I told one of the people at my job, I saw him on Tyra Banks, and he answered a question about his childhood, and he said, they asked him how did he treat women, and he said the way he answered it was very odd, and I said, that kid's got problems. And I remember I told my friend, one of the people at my job, they said, oh no, he's so sweet. I said, no, that kid has problems, and I hope he'd be okay. 2 months later, the Rihanna incident happened. And I believe that people about like Chris has never had, I don't know how, I hope that he's had that moment of healing. That was so many years ago, but there's been other things since then. And I pray that he gets that. I pray he has had that healing that he needs as a human, because everybody's out here making money. Okay. Everybody and the poor kid. I just hope he has that moment where, and he has children now. They're getting older. What is like his oldest daughter's like 10 years old or something like that. So yeah, I'm hoping there is, and I think that too. It's all in about. Even though I love a good stripper club song, and I like I like some good ratchet songs myself. Okay, you know what I'm saying. I be listening to I be listening up here sometimes with my workout, Sexy Red, and girl with my glow is my girl though. Okay, but I feel that Chris, he see all the music is hypersexual. It's very hypersexual. It's interesting. I don't know if I'm like, no wonder it seems like there is a lack of maturity on your end and an ability to grow. I think he's going to grow his audience because of his performance skills, but to grow it musically, where people are riding with you when you can't dance anymore. When people are riding with you when see, Michael was musically inclined. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I hope for Chris. That Chris has a maturity, not only in his self as a man, but musically. And I think the music, what you give off in some ways, says a lot. So I don't know. I'm at this crux with Chris Brown. I would go again. I would definitely go. But do I think Chris Brown is the best performer I've ever seen? No, not by a long shot. But very good. Very good for this generation and for what you guys accept from him. Could Chris Brown be the best performer of this generation? I saw Sparks tonight that told me he could. Little Sparks. But if he doesn't get that knowing about himself, that authenticity, they'll just keep hyping you up and telling you you're Michael Jackson. But I don't know if they'll really give you the keys to be Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? But that's my review on that. Okay. But I liked it. I enjoyed the show. I had a good time. I always feel like every now and then you should go to a young folk show and get you some, like the there's. I call Beyonce the evil candy lady because I was talking about she be getting everybody dressing up, she get the energy. Evil candy lady is it's a long story to explain to y'all, but I felt like tonight. Well, let me tell you, it's a story that they had. I heard this one of my favorite people to listen to on YouTube. What's her name? Witchy something. I forget her name. She tells about witch stories and stories of the occult, and she told the story about this lady who used to let all these young people play in her yard when she was play in her yard, and she would give out candy to them, and a lot of the parents in the neighborhood would let the kids play, and then when the kids would leave, she would gather up the grass and put it on her body and stuff like that. I think that's how the story went. I can't remember, but really she was the evil candy lady. Because what she was doing, the reason she let the kids play in her yard and stuff, because she was sucking out their youth. right, so she was sucking. So I felt like she was the so she's the she, and a lot of the kids would go home and they'd be tired and they would know why for days and stuff, because this woman she wasn't just giving you candy to be nice. She was sucking it out your youth. Now, I'm not saying be the evil candy lady, okay? But I'm saying there is times that you need to go around to a young, youthful concert and see what the youth is looking at and see, just figure it out and have a good time and enjoy. You know what I'm saying? It does so much for you. It gives you such youthful vibes and youthful energy. Okay. That is just my opinion on things. Okay. Just my opinion. All right. Okay, you guys. So that is the end of my Chris Brown review. I enjoyed Chris Brown. I do have some heavy criticisms, but it's okay. I be having criticism for my fave. Okay. So listen, I'm telling y'all, man, what's my next show? Is my next show coming? My next show's Vegas. Y'all like, who you going to see in Vegas? Oh, y'all know. It's the last show of the Serenade tour. Of course I'm going. Don't shut up. You're like, oh my God, not again. Yes, I'm going to be excited about this one. Okay. I'm so excited. Vegas shows have never disappointed me. I've always had bomb Vegas shows. Okay. I'm trying to decide what to wear in Vegas. Like, do I want to go showgirly? There's this gold outfit I'm thinking about. There's a red outfit I'm thinking. I don't know. What's a girl to do? How's she supposed to look in Vegas? I don't know. I'm thinking. Last year I was kind of Pocahontas showgirly. This year I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying. The little young girls gave me so many ideas tonight. God, for hair, everything. I saw such. Listen here. Y'all was wearing them braids. Y'all was doing them braids. Oh, the braids was cute. Child, I was like, oh God, I gotta get my hair. Yes. Okay. The babies was doing it. Okay. They always give me good vibes with style. Okay. I don't know. I have to figure out what I'm gonna do tonight. What did I wear to Chris Brown? I had on a cat suit. I think I had on a cat suit with a black and gold chain belt. You know, like a sleeveless cat. Very cute. I meant to wear it to the Essence Fest, but I ended up not. And I had on my little black leather brim. I saw some other girls with something similar. It was cute. I enjoyed it. I would have wore I would have wore a breezy. I was planning on wearing a jersey, but my jersey that I had was too big, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to wear it, but I did try it on. I'm gonna let y'all see how it looked on. I'll probably send y'all like a video like shoot of the red and black. Y'all can't see it fully, but maybe when I see the show the fully one, I'll show it. Okay. All right, you guys. So I hope you have a wonderful night. Shout out to all the people on the Keisha side, because I don't think I usually put the show up on this side. Okay. So shout out to y'all if y'all listening to the sound of my voice. The show, the Carlotta Chat with Facebook page still exists. It will continue to exist. But the show, I'm changing up the show pretty soon. But meanwhile, while I'm in the midst of, because I'm finishing up my master's in theater, and while I got a lot of stuff going on this semester. So while I'm taking my time rechanging the show, I am going to come on to give you special talks, like with stuff like Chris Brown, the Chris Brown review. I'll talk about my next meet and greet with Maxwell and stuff like that. Okay. So yeah, so I'll come on here and there in between time to just talk with y'all randomly, okay? You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. I hope you enjoy listening to the show. Chris Brown fans, don't get mad at me. I like Chris Brown. I think Chris Brown has had an evolution of sorts. I want him to evolve in his music, and I think he can evolve as a performer. But I enjoyed it. I think he's a good dancer. I love the moments of him being by himself. Oh my God, I really love those moments when he would just be off in the side. And let me tell you how easy it was for Chris. What it felt like it was, and I could be wrong, but it felt like it was so easy for him, because he would just he'd be going off on the side of the stage and be, singing to, or something. Then all of a sudden he come in and catch up on the dance like it ain't nothing, then walk away. I was like, wow, kid, what can you be? What are you? And he's not really a kid anymore. Was he like 36 or something like that? Oh, I forgot to talk about one moment. I forgot to talk about the call to the girl on stage. He called a girl up on stage. Okay. He does this sexy dance reminiscent of Janet Jackson when Janet called guys up on stage. Chris calls a girl up. She gets to sit on this little couch, and Chris, does a little sexy dance on her, and even, kind of chokes her, baby. Chokes this little choke. It looks like he about to kiss her in the, oh my God, it's sexy, it's hot. Okay. Yes, I like that, Chris. That was cute. I loved it. And I know the girls loved it. Okay. They was going off. Okay. So that was fun. Okay. That was fun. All right. All right, you guys. I am out. You guys have a good night. And if you want to remember, you can hit me up on the Carlotta Chat with Facebook page. I'm also on Instagram, Carly's_Galaxy. And TikTok is Keisha Carlotta. And for threads, you have to go through Instagram, chat. I don't know. And Twitter on X, it is C Chatwood Show and Carlotta72 when I do post. Okay. You guys have a good night. And I will probably be back this week with some more. I think I have some more hot topics to talk about. I told you I had another hot topic, some other hot topics during the week I had to talk about. So I'll probably be on maybe later on this week. Okay. Have a good night, y'all. I am out. Bye.